stop looking for a reason to leave. I'm going to throw this iPad because y'all will look for it and it will be there. Well, welcome to Dating Déjà Vu, the podcast where we talk about your patterns, your pitfalls, and personal growth in modern dating. I'm your host, Christina Hathaway, marriage and family therapist and dating and relationship expert. If your dating and love life looks a lot of bit of the same, it might be déjà vu, but it also might be you. So let's figure it out together. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Dating Déjà Vu. I'm so excited to have you. Welcome those from TikTok and Instagram. I am loving all of the love on TikTok, so keep it up. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me. The links are in the show notes below. Okay, today we're talking about all or nothing thinking in dating, and this episode was inspired by a conversation with my girlfriend, and we were talking about the fact that she never put this like her finger on the fact that she was all or nothing. We were talking about food and diet and exercise, which is the other part of my coaching program that I run. And I started the conversation about how it can seep into so many other areas of people's lives. And I started talking about dating. So I was like, oh, I should probably talk about this on the podcast. So when we're in this all or nothing thinking cycle, we allow this, as we call it, black and white thinking to sneak into our standards, and it can sabotage real connection, and it makes love almost feel like a very like high stakes game that you have to win or you walk away from. Like if you don't know you're going to win it, then you're like, fuck it, I'm out, right? I used to be this way. I remember being in high school and I was running for dance club president, and I was like, I was literally a freshman on varsity dance. I danced my whole fucking life. Like I was going to get presidency, but I was so scared I wouldn't that I was literally going to leave schools if I didn't get it. Like, come on, so dramatic. But that is truth, right? And we do that in relationships. So let's get into it. Okay. What is all or nothing thinking? All or nothing thinking, as I talked about, is dichotomous or black and white thinking. It's very concrete, where if it's not this way, then it's this other way. And it's usually perfect, fail, right? Good, bad, right? Enough, not enough. And it's very black and white, and there's rarely areas of gray. And you might say to yourself, like, if he's not obsessed with me by week 2, then he's not the one. You might say, like, he took too long to text me. Fuck it, I'm out, right? Y'all know you're doing that. You had one amazing date, so you spiraled into this fantasy of what is, but now you're ghosting him because the second date didn't live up to that one, right? These extremes are there, and I'm laughing because I've done them. This black and white extreme thinking feels like discernment, but it's actually your fear. It's your fear. You're protecting yourself with these very rigid standards. And it's usually your struggle with sitting with uncertainty, right? Sitting with lack of control. So instead of tolerating the gray area, you flip between this infatuation and disinterest, and you do it real quick. So how does this show up in dating and relationships? I have some scenarios here and how it plays out. You go from spark to ick overnight. Girls get the ick real quick. What was it that he said? So on Love Island, I don't remember the guy's name. I can see him in my head, but they did this suitcase challenge where they exposed like how many people they've slept with. They exposed how many people they said I love you to. They exposed how many like nudes they sent. And one of the guys goes, I think that actually didn't work out for me. Like I feel like that the girls got the ick of him being honest with his past, right? And I thought that was funny because these girls were like obsessed with him, and then the ick just happened. You crave intensity, right? You feel like you want that fast chemistry, you want to know, right? And you obsess. And if it's not there, if you don't have the fireworks, you call it boring. Even though, as I talked about, boring is probably safe, and safe is probably something you've never felt before, right? You go from spark to ick real quick, or you label people too early. You know, if they're not perfect, if they don't meet the check marks, right? they're a red flag, right? Or maybe they do something that's within their boundaries that is communicative, but you're so so not aware of that you think it's a red flag. Or if they open up too early or too soon, they're emotionally unstable. If they wait too long, they're emotionally closed off. You just start to put labels on people too quickly, right? There's no room for the middle ground in the relationships where most relationships actually live and where they thrive is in this middle ground of they're not going to be perfect, but they're also not going to be a complete piece of shit, hopefully. There's a middle ground. So if one guy turns out to be emotionally immature F boy, you start to believe that they're all emotionally immature F boys. You date with cynicism instead of curiosity, and you expect disappointment before you even know what's going to happen. I don't know if she listens to this podcast, but I have a friend who I have to walk off of the I'm going to delete all of the apps ledge multiple times a year. And I'm like, you have to realize, number one, you start putting your eggs in baskets way too early. And it's that all or nothing, right? I'm all in on this one person. Why? You're dating. It's a numbers game, right? And that is to people's demise, this all or nothing, because again, they put all of it into one person. No, because then if that one person that you put all this time and energy into doesn't work out, you're going to assume that all of dating is this way. When in all reality, if you would have put a little bit of energy into a lot of people and took your time to get to know them, then maybe you'd have a different outcome, right? So I want to be clear, like it's okay to be cautious, of course. It's wise to be cautious. But again, when one hurtful experience becomes the entire frame of reference for your dating and love life, like you're no longer protecting yourself, you're reinforcing like really, really high walls when it comes to your love. Okay, why you're doing this, I've already kind of talked about it. Spoiler alert, it's protection. I know, weird, right? You're not being too picky. You're just being fucking scared. All or nothing thinking protects you from vulnerability, which is what we just talked about. Letting someone see your unfiltered self, right? And being disappointed again. You might be disappointed in a relationship. I say it all the time. Unless you die together, someone's going to get hurt. Even in marriage, even in 50-year marriages, that's probably even worse, right? It gives the illusion of control, this all or nothing thinking, because it's easier to say, he's not it. I'm over it. Fuck that guy, right? Than sit with, I don't know yet. This makes me a little anxious. I don't know what's happening yet, but I'm curious to see where it goes, right? Tell me if you've done it, because I don't think you have, because we're very all or nothing. And what do we do instead? Y'all listen to this to have some bits of advice. So here we go. We need to build a new approach, one that honors your intuition and doesn't sabotage the possibility of a lover. Yeah. As I already said, you're going to choose curiosity over conclusion, right? Instead of asking, is this it? Ask, what am I learning here? What do I like about this person? Do I feel like myself when speaking to this person? Right? We're not picking a future partner on day one. Okay. We're just collecting data, right? We're collecting data and seeing if we like them. And we should be doing that with multiple people. I told you guys the 333 rule. Three people at the same time, talking to them, going on dates. If you're being sexual, you do need to have conversations with all three of them that you're seeing other people and you're hooking up with other people. Be a fucking adult. Next one, allow space for slow burns. Slow burns are the shit. Instead of chemistry and love bombing, we're not doing that. That's tied to adrenaline. That's actually tied to a lot of stress hormones. And it doesn't feel good in the body, but you're so used to the chaos that you're like, yes, cortisol in a relationship. This feels so familiar. I love this. That's what we're trying to get out of, babe. We want to build and build on small little shares, as I talked about last episode. Build on sharing a little bit about yourself, seeing how they respond, right? Listening to them share. How do you feel? And slowly building. Slow burn. Number three, stop looking for a reason to fucking flee. Stop looking for a reason to leave. I'm going to throw this iPad because y'all will look for it and it will be there. Not because the person's a bad person, but because they said hi on Snapchat to their girlfriend or a girl that they used to hook up with a year ago who lives across the country. And if you're listening, you know who I'm talking about. Stop doing that. You're in the mindset to see and perceive things as wrong, right? So you're not going to see it as right. You're literally like it's like you have a filter or like glasses that you're reading the information on that will only say this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. There's that. But every relationship, excuse me, will have uncertainty, it will have awkwardness, right? You'll even have missteps. I've talked to you guys the fact that Mark and I broke up. He did not want a girlfriend and I said, "Okay." I was so secure in myself that I said, "This is not the person for me." And I walked away and I cleanly walked away. And we ran into each other 2 months later. And here we are 10 years later. I want you to pause before you bail. And I want you to ask yourself, am I leaving to protect my peace or am I leaving to avoid discomfort? Those are two different things. Then, as I talked about, use my 3 by 3 by 3 rule. Three people, right? I'll say it the way it's supposed to be said. We're going to talk to a guy for 3 messages before they ask for a phone number. We're going to text or call with them 3 times before we ask for the date. And then we're going to go on 3 dates to decide if this person is an option for us. And while we're doing that, we're going to date 3 people at the same time. It's very important, you guys. You should never, again, all or nothing. We're not putting all of our eggs in the one basket. Never, ever do that because in this day and age, there's a lot of options out there. And honestly, usually what I see is when someone is drawn to putting all of their eggs in one basket, it's usually the fucking basket that they've been in over and over and over again. And those eggs keep cracking over and over and over again. So stop doing that because it's probably not the person you should be with. What else did I put here? Give it 3 intentional dates before deciding. Let the nervous system settle. Let clarity from reality and everything set in and focus on the facts. So if you only date for extremes, right? You keep getting the same loop of infatuation to anxiety to withdrawal, repeat, then it's not deja vu. It's you, right? And what I want you to do is to be able to tolerate that in between, the unknown, the uncertainty, and just have faith that in the end, you're going to find your partner. If it's not this person, you're going to get the signs that are appropriate by giving it time. And you can decide this isn't for me and you can leave and that opens space up for somebody else. Or maybe you give it time and this is the person for you and you would have normally bailed in the uncertainty, but this time you stayed and here they are. Here's a little reflection point takeaway. Ask yourself, like, when have I bailed because it was unfamiliar, right? Or uncertain, excuse me. So ask yourself that. What would it look like to build connection instead of chase like certainty? When we chase certainty, again, we're dating the same person that we normally have because we know I don't know. I see this with girls who are really attractive. Like they will date guys who are maybe a little less attractive than them because it's certain, like they are like this prize, right? And ask yourself, like, how do you go through extremes? Like, what are your bails and what are your like infatuations? Like, really get real with yourself. Like, how have I been infatuated and obsessed? What type of person have I put all the eggs in that basket? Is there a theme with that or a commonality of that person? And then what are the behaviors or lack thereof that cause me to bail? Right. I think it's important. So if this hit home for you, then I hope that you can find your gray area. I also hope if you know someone who could benefit from this, please share this podcast. I'd love for you guys, if you would like this information, I'll try to keep it within 20, 30 minutes, chunks and nuggets. That's why I have my iPad because I want to make sure I stay on track because I can just talk, 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 talk. Please give me a 5-star rating and review this podcast. I'd like for it to get out to as many people to share this information. I think it's really helpful. It's not coming from this, like, I was listening to a podcast today and the intro was like, "Hi, we're here to give you space." And I was like, "Oh, I got the ick. I did listen to it though, so I pushed through the discomfort. This is real talk, and I hope to get this out to more people. So if you could share it or give us a 5-star rating and review, that would be amazing. And I want you to remember in your all or nothing thinking, babe, it might be deja vu, but it also might be you. Talk to you next time.